When you're watching a tour event on TV, or even more importantly, when you're out watching one in person, like a lot of people will be doing at the RBC Heritage, you're going to see caddies and their players go to the book, the Bible.
Absolutely.
This happens to be one from the Texas Open, the Valero Texas Open this weekend. The guy who writes the book, and if it's the Bible and he's the author, that would make him one of the prophets,
That'd make
right?
him very important.
Or a saint. Very, very important. Mark Long is joining us, longtime caddy with Fred Funk and Nolan Henke. You may have seen him out here caddying for Nolan in years past. But now you're in the book business, Mark. I saw you out at Harbor Town earlier this week. Talk a little bit about what a great business this has become, creating the Bible for the players and their caddies.
It's more of a fun hobby or passion for me than a business. Yeah, I kind of fell into it. We've always had a guy who did the yardage books on tour for years and years and years, George Lucas. Not to be confused with the movie producer, Star Wars. But no, George started making his yardage books back in the mid-'70s, and they're what I used for most of my caddy career on tour, which was about 25 years long. But I started making the books, and I kind of took what George did and just added a few things in, some extra detail. Started using surveying instruments, so it's pretty technical, and pretty sophisticated and very precise, which is what the tour pros and caddies like.
Absolutely. Now, you talk about technical instruments. When you're out measuring a golf course, we see you with poles coming out of your
He's got a spacesuit on and a big antenna and everything else.
Antennas and all kinds
Absolutely.
of. What are you doing?
Actually, that equipment has nothing to do with the book. I just like to watch the people stare at me and think, what is this guy doing out there? Well, we're using surveying equipment. We work with different types of it. What you're describing is a GPS receiver.
Okay.
So it's actually on a pole, and there's an antenna on top, and it's very precise. It gets our the equipment accuracy is a ½ an inch or better.
Wow.
So we can pretty much tell you if someone says, hey, I don't think that was 136, I'll say, you're right, it was 136, 4 feet, 3½ inches.
So Mark, let's say we're doing number 2 at Harbor Town, a hole that can be very exciting in the sense that pretty much any golfer in the field can make an eagle, but any golfer in the field can also make a double bogey there if they get overly aggressive. You're mapping out number 2. What is the procedure you really do when you do a hole like that?
Well, we're doing 3 things when we're playing golf. We're either hitting a tee shot, going at the green, or laying up. That's 3 things. So I've got to cover those 3 potential situations in the book. I'm trying to anticipate most of what can happen, good or bad, during the play of a hole. So the first thing you do is get up on number 2 and you say, what is a tour pro going to ask his caddy? What kind of, he's going to want to know, hey, how far is it through the fairway? You know, what's my line? How far is it through the fairway at that tree? What's over there to the right? You know, how far is it over that bunker? So we try to answer those questions in the yardage book. That's the first part. Second part is the going for the green detail, which we have yardages to the front edge of the green from reference points like sprinklers, bunkers, some trees, drains, things like that. So we need to cover that. And then we have a very detailed drawing of the green and the slopes and the surface and the surrounding areas. So the player can locate, he knows where the hole location is because the tour gives us a little pin sheet, hole location sheet that shows it's how many steps on and from the edge it is that day. So we know where the hole is on the green. And he can now look at the map and say, oh, I want to miss this long, or I want to be over here for an uphill putt, etc. And then the third part is the layup. In case we mess up or it's a par 5 we can't reach, you want to lay up to an area. Number 2 is kind of interesting. Harbor Town has a lot of strategy because if you lay up too close, you might get a tree branch in your way. 15 is a great example of that. There's a certain area where you can lay up where you're clear for all hole locations. There are places you can lay up where you are number 9, let's say, off the tee. There's places where you can lay up here and have a clear shot for the right hole location, but block to the left hole location. Right. You can lay up here and vice versa. So we kind of start to put that information in the book as much as we can. But yeah, Harbor Town's a study in strategy.
So when it comes to the yardage book, the book is more for the tour player than the average player to a certain extent when you're mapping it out.
It's very precise, and yeah, it's absolutely designed for the tour player and tour caddy. I've shown the book to guys I played with in college who were obviously good players, and I have to explain things to them. They can't just open it up and get it right away. But once you get it, it works really well for you.
Mark and I were teammates at the University of Maryland, so
Okay.
I hope he's not making an implication that I couldn't figure out the book.
No, not as far as you know.
I think he is, and I think he's right.
He is.
But we
Well,
can uncover
Mark,
that.
one of the things I think
Yeah.
all our viewers should know is that, if Mark looks familiar to you, that's because for years and years he was Fred Funk's caddy on
Yep.
tour. He caddied some for Nolan Henke and George McNeil. So, Mark, I wish we had more time to talk. Thanks so much for being with us, and good luck finishing up the book for this week.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
And that's all the time we have for Golf Center this week. For Bob Stevens, I'm PGA professional Chris Tremblay. We'll see you next time.